got the baby stuff going on, and she's so we're recording right now, but she wanted to follow along with us. So Joanna, for those of you who don't know, she just had a baby about a week ago, and so this is all an adjustment for her. But Sarah, who is Sarah, you wave. Sarah, Joanna, and I have been doing, this is our third book together, and it's only been the three of us, so this is quite exciting to have all of you guys join us. So we're going to do the book Becoming Supernatural with Dr. Joe Dispenza. Sarah and Joanna and I just finished the other one, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, and we loved it so much that we want to do all the books in the series. So fascinating. The way that we do it is we go round robin, and you don't have to come prepared to read or have something read. We just read half a page and the next person just automatically continues. We do this in Meg's book club, so those of you who are in that know what that's like. And Colleen, I know you're not in that, and Lauren, you're not either. So basically,
well, Colleen's been in it before.
Okay, so Colleen knows how that goes then?
Yeah.
So Lauren will just read like a half a page, but she's just going to be observing anyway today, so she won't be reading. The only challenge I think that this new Zoom with everyone is, because I know the way can everybody see everyone?
Mm-hmm.
I can see everyone, but my main picture with you keeps going black. Like now there's just a blue circle with a phone in it.
Okay, that's interesting.
Well, it's because when she's talking.
Yes.
I'm assuming that we see, like right now, you guys see me.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I actually have it in gallery view, so I can see you all the time.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I can too.
Okay. I see it. Okay, that fixed it.
Okay.
So, did you see that I've joined?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is Scary Morning, Marty. Happy Halloween.
Well, why don't we just go around and introduce ourselves really quickly? This is where I find that this will be an interesting thing, because there's no way to know the natural progression of it. So I'm Angelique, and all of you guys know who I am, but then there are definitely some faces that not everybody knows. So I'll point and tell everybody, Meg, why don't you go?
Hi, Meg Berry.
Mara. Oh, yeah, you want to say,
no.
You want to say how you know me?
How do I know you? I guess I know you mainly from Silver Lining and health coaching, and we connected as coaches, and we've been doing book clubs for, I guess, a couple of years, and yeah. So
Okay, Mara.
Hi, I'm Mara Graff, and I know Angelique because she was my health coach. That's how we met.
Yeah. Lori.
I'm Laurie Nowling, and I have a cold. And I know Angelique through Silver Lining, through the book club with Meg and all the girls.
Okay, Sarah.
I'm Sarah Belvin. I actually know Angelique through Color Street. She is actually my upline.
Kate.
I know Angelique through Silver Linings book clubs and for several years now.
That's crazy. Marty.
Good morning. I'm Marty, and I know Angelique through book club with Meg, and I'm so excited.
I'm so excited. Lauren.
I don't know if I did this right, but Lauren Noby. Angelique, I don't really know how we ever met. We've just always been
kind of connected through Columbia. I don't remember the first time we met. I just know I've known you forever.
I know, right? Exactly. And then obviously our not so coincidental meeting last night. So
totally crazy. And then Colleen is our final.
Yay. Hi, Colleen.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I do not know Angelique, but my sister Kate invited me to join in because I did do some of the book clubs when I was in St. Louis. I'm in Ann Arbor right now, but am interested and looking forward to it.
Awesome. Okay. So if anyone has a better suggestion, please let me know. We kind of pick an order and then we stay to it, and then it just easier that way. I don't think we all have the same grid, so it's going to be interesting. So I used to go by alphabetical order, but that's going to be just to make it easy. What do you guys think is the easiest way to know who to go next?
Well, as long as I know who to go after, I'm good.
Okay, so why don't I just say
after?
let me go ahead and make the order in the way I see it, and then you guys just remember. So I'm going to start first because you're to my right. So it's going to be Meg, me, Mara, Lori, Sarah, Kate, Marty. Lauren doesn't have a book right now, so then Colleen. Okay, so it's Meg, me, Mara, Lori, Sarah, Kate, Marty, Colleen. Does everybody
Oh,
have
I'm sorry. Colleen doesn't have a book either yet.
Oh, okay. Well then, okay. So for today, it's just, I'm going to repeat myself. Meg, Angelique, Mara, Lori, Sarah, Kate, Marty. Okay. So then Lauren and Colleen will just listen for today. And then Joanna will pop in next week. Okay. So let's get started. We'll, let's go ahead and do the foreword. Meg, why don't you just go ahead and get that, and then I'll follow right behind you, and I'll just do a half a page after that.
Okay. Forward. Throughout human history, there have been accounts of everyday people having experiences that catapult them beyond the limits of what was thought to be possible. From the multi-century lifespan of Li Xingyin, the martial artist whose 256-year-long life began in 1677 and included 14 wives and over 200 children before he died in 1933, to the spontaneous healing of myriad diseases documented by the Institute of Noetic Sciences through 3,500 references from over 800 journals in 20 languages. The evidence clearly tells us that we're not what we've been told in the past, and even more than we've allowed ourselves to imagine.
As the acceptance of expanded human potential gains mainstream momentum, the question has shifted from what is possible in our lives to how do we do it? How do we awaken our extraordinary potential in everyday life? The answer to this question forms the foundation for this book, Becoming Supernatural: How Common People Are Doing the Uncommon. Dr. Joe Dispenza is a doctor, a scientist, and a modern-day mystic. He's also a synthesizer of information with a vision that extends beyond the confines of a single scientific discipline. Drawing from diverse fields of rock-solid science, such as epigenetics, molecular biology, neurocardiology, and quantum physics, Joe crosses the traditional boundaries that have separated scientific thinking and human experience in the past. In doing so, he opens the door to a bold new paradigm of self-actualized empowerment, a way of thinking and living based upon what we sense is possible in our lives, as well as what we accept as scientific fact.
This new frontier of realized potential is redefining what it means to be fully enabled, fully participated human. Sorry. And it's a frontier that holds promise for everyone from homemakers, students, and skilled laborers to scientists, engineers, and healthcare professionals. The reason for such a wide appeal is that Joe's work today parallels a proven model that masters have used successfully with their students for centuries. The idea for the model is simple. Once we have a direct experience of a greater potential, it frees us to embrace that potential in our everyday lives. The book that you hold in your hands, Becoming Supernatural, is the first of its kind manual that does precisely this. It leads us on a step-by-step journey to achieving our greatest potential in body, health, relationships, and life purpose, and allows us to make the journey at our own pace.
Lori.
It was in the walls of a cave on the Tibetan plateau that I saw for myself how the same model was used by one of the great yogic masters of the past to free his students of their own limited beliefs. The legacy of his teaching remains today, preserved in the native rock that provided both the home and the classroom for the master 8 centuries ago. In the spring of 1998, I facilitated a group pilgrimage into the highlands of Western Tibet. Our route led us directly to the remote cave of the 11th century poet, mystic, and yogi, Ujetson Milarepa, known in his day simply as Milarepa. I'm assuming that's right. I first learned of the legendary yogi while I was a student of a Sikh mystic a Sikh mystic that became my yoga teacher in the 1980s. For years, I studied the mastery surrounding Milarepa's life, how he had come from a privileged family yet chose to renounce his worldly possessions, the brutal and tragic circumstances of losing his family and loved ones to mass violence, and how his revenge and subsequent suffering led to his retreat high into the Himalayan mountains, where he discovered his extraordinary potential as a devoted yogi. I wanted to see for myself the place where Milarepa breached the laws of physics to demonstrate to himself and to his students that we are confined in our lives only by the limits of our own beliefs. 19 days into my journey, I had the opportunity to do just that.
After acclimating to single-digit humidity and elevations of more than 15,000 feet above sea level, I find myself precisely at the place where Milarepa stood before his students 800 years before. With my face only inches away from the cave's wall, I was staring squarely into the unsolved mystery that modern scientists have never been able to explain or duplicate. It was in this exact place that Milarepa first placed his open hand against the rock at about shoulder level, and then continued to push his hand further into the wall in front of him, as if stone did not exist. When he did so, the rock beneath his palms became soft and malleable, giving away to the pressure of his push. The result was a perfect impression of the yogi's hand left in the rock for his students then and throughout the centuries to see. Scanning our lights across the walls and ceiling of the cave, we could see even more hand impressions, making it clear that Milarepa had offered this demonstration on more than one occasion.
Hey.
As I opened my palm and pushed it into the impression, I could feel my fingers cradled in the form of the yogi's, precisely in the position that his hand had assumed 8 centuries earlier. The fit was so perfect that any doubt I had about the authenticity of the handprint quickly disappeared. It was a feeling that was both humbling and inspiring at the same time. Immediately, my thoughts turned to the man himself. I wanted to know what was happening to him when he engaged the rock. What was he thinking? Perhaps more importantly, what was he feeling? How did he defy the physical laws that tell us a hand and the rock can't occupy the same place at the same time? As if he was reading my mind, my Tibetan guide answered my questions before I even asked. The Geshe's great teachers, meditation teaches that he is part of the rock, not separate from it. The rock cannot contain him. To the Geshe, this cave represents a place of experience rather than a barrier of limitation. In this place, he is free and can move as if the rock does not exist. My guide's words made perfect sense. When Milarepa's students saw their teacher accomplish something that traditional beliefs said was not possible, they were faced with the same dilemma in their day that faces each of us today when we choose to free ourselves from our own limiting beliefs.
Hey guys, I'm sorry to interrupt. I have to get back to work, but thank you so, so much. This has been
Lauren,
amazing.
this is the forward, so come back because this isn't Dr. Joe.
I will. I
We'll
promise.
talk to me later.
Thank you so much, Angelique. I'll be in touch.
Okay, bye, babe. Go ahead, Marty.
All right. The dilemma is this. The thinking that was embraced by the family, friends, and society of the student's day thought of the world in terms of limits and boundaries. This included the belief that a cave wall is a barrier to the flesh of a human body. As Milarepa pushed his hand into the rock, however, his students were shown that there are exceptions to such laws. The irony is that both ways of seeing the world are absolutely correct. Each depends upon the way we chose to think of ourselves in a given moment. As I pressed my hand into the impression that the yogi left for his students long ago, I asked myself, are we getting feedback?
Yeah. And
Huh?
yes. And I'm going to mute everybody and see what happens. So I'll unmute. I'm going to mute you and then.
I feel like on mine, when my emails are coming in, it's dinging on but I'm not sure how to turn that off, but not my Zoom. Does that make sense?
Are you on a laptop?
Yeah. Maybe I just need to close that.
I've closed mine.
Like close everything.
Yeah.
See if that helps. I think it still pops in if it's open. Do you know what I'm saying?
I just hear like feedback, but I'm not sure.
Okay,
what-
I've just had two little dings.
Okay, no, and I'm hearing like scratching, like
Oh,
somebody's like.
Right.
So I muted everybody except I'm going to mute you, Meg, but I'll unmute you. So I'll be in charge of all of that. We'll see if that helps. And if everybody
Okay.
wants to talk, I can open that up. So don't worry. But I'm going
okay.
to do while we read.
All right. So as I pressed my hand into the impression that the yogi left for the students long ago, I asked myself, are we confined in our lives today by the same limiting beliefs that Milarepa students experienced in their day? And if so, how do we awaken the power to transcend our own limiting beliefs? All right. Meg?
I found that when something is true in life, that truth shows up in many ways. For this reason, it comes as no surprise that the scientific documentation from Joe's classroom discoveries leads to the same conclusion that Milarepa and mystics throughout the centuries arrived at in the past, that the universe is as it is, our bodies are as they are, and the circumstances of our lives exist as they do because of consciousness itself and the way we think of ourselves in our world. I've shared the story of Milarepa to illustrate this seemingly universal principle. The key to the yogi's teaching is this: when we experience for ourselves or witness in another person something that we've once believed to be impossible, we are freed in our beliefs to transcend those limitations in our lives. And this is precisely why the book you're holding has the potential to change your life. By showing you how to accept your future dream as your current reality, and to do so in a way that your body believes is happening now, you discover how to set into motion a cascade of emotional and physiological processes that reflect your new reality. The neurons in your brain, the sensory neurites in your heart, and the chemistry of your body all harmonize to mirror the new thinking, and the quantum possibilities of life are rearranged to replace the unwanted circumstances of your past with the new circumstances that you've accepted as the present.
You want to wrap that up right there, Meg, since it's so
And
short?
that's the power of this book. In a style that is simple, straightforward, and easy to understand, Joe Dispenza has woven into a single volume the paradigm-altering discoveries of quantum science and the deep teachings that adepts of the past dedicated their entire lifetimes to master. He shows us how to become supernatural. Greg Braden, New York Times bestselling author of Human by Design and the Divine Matrix.
Okay. So I'm just going to pause there. We won't pause too much. I'm muting you, Mara. I was like, wow. No, I mean, I think I don't know. I'm so used to Joe's work. So I don't know. That was just an introduction, or at least the foreword. Now we're getting into the introduction. And I don't know who the introduction is written by. Looks like maybe Joe himself. I hope.
Writing this book.
What's that?
It looks like it's Joe.
Yeah, I hope it is. So I think we'll just cruise on into the introduction unless you guys have something to say about the foreword.
I think the only thing I would like to say, I mean, I'm kind of laughing because I didn't look at this at all beforehand, but you know, this idea of mastery, the idea that the mystery schools, the ancient mystery schools, and all of this, this is what that taught, was these exact types of principles, whether it was a yogi or somebody else. And you know, I find it fascinating that this is all opening back up for us. I mean, the messages have claimed this, you know, everything. So it's very cool that we're seeing it kind of here and in just scientific and out there, non-woo-woo kind of setting.
Well, that's what I love about it, because I'm all about the woo-woo, but this, and like I said before to a few of you, I just feel like this is kind of the back doorway to get in. to where it won't make you, it gives you the exact way of how to do it. If you practice it or become aware of it, or your belief shifts in any way, it helps you to cross that bridge a little bit easier than wondering about certain things. He gives you the exact way to do it. And so if you do it, it should work. So, or not work, I don't mean to say it like that, but you know what I mean? Open up your consciousness a little bit easier and maybe achieve what you want, that you're going for. Cool. Okay. Well, then I'm going to, yeah.
Can I say one more thing, Angelique?
Yeah.
To me, because I think I told you, I have listened to the audio tape, so I've heard the whole thing. So I'm really excited to do this piece by piece. But in this foreword, to me, one of the key sentences here is the key to the yogi's teaching is this. And this just is fascinating. When we experience for ourselves or witness in another person something that we once believed to be impossible, we are freed in our beliefs to transcend those limitations in our own lives. And this is precisely about this. So, you know, once we see something we think was impossible, now we know it's possible. It's kind of remarkable. It's kind of,
well, it's funny. It's like world record breaking. You know, it's like when somebody breaks a world record, it's like, holy shit, they just shattered the glass ceiling, you know, because nobody did that before. And then, oh, lo and behold, somebody else does it again. I mean, and so it does become a belief situation. It's like, well, somebody just shattered that belief. So that the next person that steps in goes, well, you know, whoever I want to say Carl Jung, I don't know why he's popping in my mind, but like did his thing, somebody's going to beat him because they know now it's possible.
Right.
It's pretty fascinating.
Yes.
Okay, let's learn how to do it. I'm going to mute everybody again really quick because I think it sounds better when nobody, I know that was very distracting and I'm glad you said something, Marty. Okay, here we go. Introduction. Getting ready to become supernatural. I realize that writing this book is a risk for me and my reputation. There are certain people in the world, including some in the scientific community, who might call my work pseudoscience, especially after Becoming Supernatural makes its debut. I used to be overly concerned about those critics' opinions. In the early days of my career, I always wrote with skeptics in mind, trying to make sure that they would approve of my work. On some level, I thought it was important to be accepted by that community. But one day when I was standing in front of an audience in London and a woman holding the microphone was telling me her story about how she overcame her disease, how she healed herself through the practices I'd written in other books, I had an epiphany.
It became very clear that those skeptics and rigid scientists who hold their own beliefs about what is possible aren't going to like me or my work no matter what I do. Once I had that realization, I knew that I'd been wasting a lot of my vital energy. I was no longer interested in convincing that particular culture, especially those studying the normal and natural, about human potential. I was totally passionate about anything but normal, and I wanted to study the supernatural. I got very clear that I should give up my future efforts to convince that community of anything and instead direct my energy to a whole other part of the population that does believe in possibility and does want to listen to what I have to share.
Is it me, Laurie? Sorry. What a relief it was to fully embrace that idea and to let go of any attempt to make a difference in that other world. As I listened to the sweet lady in London, who wasn't a monk or a nun or an academic or a scholar, I knew that in telling her story to the audience, she was helping others see some part of themselves in her. Those hearing her journey might then believe it would be possible for them to accomplish the same. I'm at a point in my life where I'm okay with people saying anything about me, and I certainly do have my flaws. But I now know more than ever that I am making a difference in people's lives. I say that with utter humility. I've labored for years in taking complex scientific information and making it simple enough for people to apply to their lives. In fact, in the last 4 years, my team of researchers, my staff, and I have gone through extensive strides to scientifically measure, record, and analyze these transformations in people's biology to prove to the world that common people can do the uncommon. This book is about more than just healing, although it includes stories of people who have made significant changes in their health and have actually reversed diseases, along with the tools you need to do the same. These accomplishments are becoming quite common in our community of students. The material you are about to read lives outside of convention and is not usually seen or understood by most of the world. The content of this book is based on an evolution of teachings and practices that have culminated in our students' ability to delve deeper into the more mystical of these. And of course, I am hoping it will bridge the world of science and the world of mysticism.
I wrote this book to take what I've always thought was possible to the next level of understanding. I wanted to demonstrate to the world that we can create better lives for ourselves and that we are not linear beings living linear lives, but dimensional beings living dimensional lives. Hopefully, reading it will help you understand that you already have all the anatomy, chemistry, and physiology you need to become supernatural sitting latent within you, waiting to be awakened and activated. In the past, I hesitated to talk about this realm of reality because I feared it might divide an audience based on their own personal beliefs. However, I have wanted to write this book for a long time now. Over the years, I have had profoundly rich mystical experiences that have changed me forever. Those inner events have influenced who I am today.
Is it my turn? I want to introduce to you to the world of dimension and show you some of the measurements we took and the studies we did in our advanced workshops around the world. I started collecting data on our students in these workshops because we witnessed significant changes in their health, and I knew they were changing their biology during the meditations in real time. We have thousands and thousands of brain scans that prove those changes were not just imagined in their minds, but actually took place in their brains. Several of the students we measured accomplished those changes within 4 days, the length of our advanced workshops. The scientific teams I've assembled have taken brain scan recordings using quantitative electroencephalogram measurements before and after workshops, as well as real-time measurements during the meditations and practices themselves. I was not only impressed with the changes, but shocked by them. They were that dramatic. The brains of our students function in a more synchronized and coherent fashion than participating in the advanced retreats around the world. This increased order in their nervous system helps them get very clear about a future they can create, and they are able to hold that intention independent of the conditions in their external environment. And when their brains are working right, they are working right. I will present scientific data that shows how much their brain improved in just a few days, which means you can do the same for your brain.
At the end of 2013, something mysterious started occurring. We started seeing brain scan recordings that puzzled the researchers and neuroscientists who came to our events to study my work. The high amount of energy in the brain that we were recording while a student was in certain meditations had never been recorded up until this point. And yet we were seeing these off the charts readings again and again. When we interviewed the participants, they reported that their subjective experience during the meditation was very real and mystical, and that this either profoundly changed their view of the world or dramatically improved their health. I knew in those moments that these participants were having transcendental experiences in their inner world of meditation that were more real than anything they had ever experienced in their outer world. And we were capturing those subjective experiences objectively.
That has become a new normal for us now. And as a matter of fact, we can often predict when these high amplitudes of energy in the brain will occur based on certain indicators and signs that we have seen for years now. In these pages, I want to demystify what it is to have an interdimensional experience, as well as provide the science, biology, and chemistry of the organs, systems, and neurotransmitters that make this happen. It is my hope that this information will give you a roadmap for how to create such experiences for yourself. We have also recorded amazing changes in heart rate variability. That's when we know a student is opening their heart and maintaining elevated emotions like gratitude, inspiration, joy, kindness, appreciation, and compassion, which cause the heart to beat in coherent fashion. That is, with rhythm, order, and balance. We know that it takes a clear intention, a coherent brain, and an elevated emotion, a coherent heart, to begin to change a person's biology from living in the past to living in the future. That combination of mind and body, of thoughts and feelings, also seems to influence matter. And that's how you create reality. So if you're going to truly believe in a future that you are imagining with all your heart, let's make sure it's open and fully activated. Why not, through practice and quantitative feedback, get good at doing it and make it a skill?
I agree. Okay. So we partnered with Heart Math Institute, a sharp group of researchers based in Boulder Creek, California, who helped us measure the responses of thousands of our participants. It is our desire for our students to develop the ability to regulate an internal state independent of the conditions in their external environment, and to know when they are creating heart coherence and when they are not. In other words, when we measure those internal changes, we can tell a person that they created a more balanced pattern in the heart measurement and that they are doing a great job and should keep doing exactly what they are doing. Or we can let them know that they are not making any biological changes and then give them the proper instruction and provide several opportunities to practice getting better at the process. That's what feedback does. It helps us know when we are doing something correctly and when we aren't. When we can change some feeling or thought inside of us, we can see changes outside of us. And when we observe that we did it correctly, we will pay attention to what we did and do it again. That action creates a constructive habit. By demonstrating how others perform such feats, I want to show you how powerful you can be.
Our students know how to influence the automatic nervous system, ANS, the system that maintains health and balance by automatically taking all our bodily functions while we have the free will to live our lives. It is this subconscious system that gives us our health and gives life to our bodies. Once we know how to gain access to the system, we can not only make our health better, but we can also transform unwanted self-limiting behaviors, beliefs, and habits into more productive ones. I'll present some of the data we have been collecting for years. We've also taught our students that when they create heart coherence, their hearts create a measurable magnetic field that projects beyond their body. That magnetic field is an energy, and that energy is a frequency, and all frequency carries information. The information carried on that frequency can be an intention or thought that can influence the heart or other person at a different location by moving it into coherence and balance. I will show you evidence that a group of people sitting in a room together can influence others sitting at the same distance in the same room to go into heart coherence at the exact same time. The evidence clearly shows that we are bound by an invisible field of light and information that influences us and others.
Given that, imagine what can happen when we all do this at the same time to change the world. That's exactly what we are up to as a community of individuals who are passionate about making a difference in the future of this earth and the people and other life forms that inhabit it. We have created Project Coherence, in which thousands of people come together at the exact same time on the exact same day to increase the frequency of this planet and of everyone who lives here. Sound impossible? Not at all. More than 23 peer-reviewed articles and more than 50 peace-gathering projects show such events can lower incidents of violence, war, crime, and traffic accidents, and at the same time increase economic growth. My wish is to show you the science of how you can contribute to changing the world. We have also measured the energy in the room during our workshops and watched how it changes when you have a community of 550 to 1,500 people raising their energy together and creating heart and brain coherence. We have seen significant changes time and time again. Although the instrument we use to measure this is not approved by the scientific community in the United States, it has been acknowledged in other countries, including Russia. In every event, we're wonderfully surprised by the amount of energy certain groups have been able to demonstrate.
We have also assessed the invisible field of vital energy surrounding the body of thousands of students to determine whether they can increase their own light field. After all, everything in our material universe is always emitting light and information, including you. When you are living in survival mode under the burden of the hormones of stress, such as adrenaline, you draw from this invisible field of energy and turn it into chemistry. And as you do so, the field around your body shrinks. We discovered a very advanced piece of equipment that can measure the emission of photons, particles of light, to determine whether a person is building a field of light around them or diminishing their own field light. When more light is emitted, there's more energy and hence more life. When a person has less light and information surrounding their body, they are more matter and thus emit less vital energy. Extensive research proves that the body's cells and various systems communicate not only by the chemical interactions we are familiar with, but also by a field of coherent energy, light, that carries a message, information, that causes the environment within and all around the cell to give instructions to the other cells and biological systems. We measure the amount of vital energy that our students' bodies emit because of the inward changes they've made doing our meditations. And I want to show you what changes they can create in only 4 days or less.
Other centers in your body besides the heart are also under the control of the autonomic nervous system. I call them energy centers. Each has its own frequency, its own inherent or conscious intent or consciousness, its own glands, its own hormones, its own chemistry, its own individual little brain, and so its own unique mind. You can influence these centers to function in a more balanced and integrated fashion. But to do that, you must first learn how to change your brain waves so you can enter this subconscious operating system. In fact, moving from beta brain waves, where the thinking brain is constantly analyzing and putting much attention on the outer world, to alpha brain waves, which indicate you're calmly placing more attention on the inner world, is key. By consciously slowing down brain waves, you can more readily program the autonomic nervous system. Students who've done my various meditation practices over the years have learned how to change their brain waves as well as sharpen the type of focus it takes to present long enough to produce measurable effects. We've discovered an instrument that can measure those changes, and again, I'll show you some of the research.
We've also measured several different biological markers related to changing gene expression, a process known as making epigenetic changes. In this book, you will learn that you are not, in fact, beholden to your genes and that gene expression is changeable once you begin to think, act, and feel differently. During our events, students leave their familiar lives for 4 to 5 days to instead spend time in an environment that doesn't remind them of who they think they are. In doing so, they separate themselves from the people they know, the things they own, the automatic behaviors they demonstrate in their daily lives, and the places they routinely go, and they begin to change their inner states through 4 different types of meditations: walking, sitting, standing, and lying down. And through each one of these, they learn to become someone else. We know it's true because our studies show significant changes in our students' gene expression, and there then reported significant changes in their health. Once we can show someone measurable results proving they truly have altered neurotransmitters, hormones, genes, proteins, and enzymes through thought alone, they can better justify their efforts and prove to themselves that they really are transforming.
As I share these ideas with you in this book, walking you through the process and explaining the science behind the work that we're doing and why, you'll be learning a lot of fairly detailed information. But don't worry, I will review certain key concepts in different chapters. I do this intentionally to remind you of what you have already learned, so we can build a bigger model of understanding in that moment. At times, the material I present may be challenging. Because I've taught this material to audiences for years, I know it can be a lot. I'll be reviewing and reminding you of what you've learned, so you do not have to go back in the book to search for the information, although you can always review the earlier chapters if you feel you need to. Of course, all of this information will prime you for your own personal transformation. So the better you can wrap your mind around these concepts, the more easily you can surrender to the meditations at the end of most of the chapters, using them as tools to have your own personal experience.
Cool. What do y'all think? Is this a new concept? I mean, Sarah and I have been doing this for a while. So we're used to this, but what do you guys think? Meg, what do you think? Because
I feel like, I mean, I don't think any of it's new concept, but I'm also reading, I was directed to those books on the lives and mystery teachings of the masters of the Far East. Mm-hmm. And then in the I Am discourses, I mean, it's all, every single thing is the same thing, but they don't discuss it in quite the scientific terms.
Yeah.
I mean, everything they're saying, it's all about, shifting matter. They talk about people that they don't die. They just end up ascending, and their bodies can go to all sorts of things with matter. So I'm excited, though, that there's a plan right here. Like there's a path.
Same too. Lori, I know you probably think something too, huh?
Well, just at some point, if there's any resources for the meditations that he does. I know there's some, like there's that one online that is, I've been using it for years. It's the in space one where he says, and blah, 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 in space. And he has that voice. And
he'll talk to you about why, well, he did in the other book, why he does that. But yeah, and that's important.
I actually just watched a video where he talked about there's certain words that'll get people there quicker. And I think that in space is one of them. But so if there's
also resources on his website, and you can purchase them. And I have them actually. So I don't know if I can give them to you or not, but.
Well, no, I mean, I'm happy to purchase them, but.
They're not that expensive. Yeah, they're not that expensive.
Okay, good. Yeah, because I would love to start, because I can get to that trance state. I just feel like once I'm there, you're in the between that awake and asleep phase, and it's that middle, but then I don't feel like things are any kind of like, I just feel like I'm off somewhere, and I'm not really, it's not directed, or it's not pointed, like it's kind of feel like I'm just kind of off, and then I don't feel like, I'm sure it's still expansive, but I don't know if it's what he's talking about here, so I would love to dig into that.
There were a few times, very rarely, but a few times that I could get into a state where I felt like I was with whatever that was out there. Like I felt like I was, and I did buy some, like I had to have something over my eyes so it was pitch black. Because what he wants you to do is forget about space, time, no thing, no one, nowhere, no nothing. Like you become nothing except consciousness.
Right.
And there was one time in particular where I was like, almost felt I was bawling because I felt overwhelming gratitude, love. I don't know what the hell it was, but it was pitch black. I think I was even like reaching out in the air at some point. I mean, you can get there. It's just, it takes practice.
Yeah.
But I also, Angelique, I think that's the ultimate oneness. When you no longer feel the physicality of your body, and you do feel like your body is nothing, and it's all air and breath and whatever else is out there. I've experienced that maybe, a couple of times. But I also think, like Lori, I'm never quite sure what it is I'm supposed to be doing. And I think the reality is you're really not supposed to be doing anything, just experiencing.
Well, what he'll tell you, and I haven't read this book, so I'm not really sure, but what I think he's going to say is, you set an intention, and then you come up with the emotions of why you set that intention, like what's the intention
Right.
going to do what for you, and then you
Right.
generate those feelings of
Right.
gratitude, love, joy, whatever it is that would bring you. Most of the time our intentions are to bring those very things into our lives, so you generate those emotions, and the emotions are of the body and the thoughts are of the mind, and you combine them, and then when you let it go into the expansive universe of the all that is, there's infinite possibilities. They will rearrange it for you it has to show up. It is law that it will show up in our physical reality when you combine intention with emotion.
Yeah. And you're exactly right, because I've listened to the book. So I think having the conversations and just listening to you kind of define that in everyday terms, it's like, that is exactly what he's saying. And anyway, I have to hear things a variety of times and ways for it to kind of kick in. So I'm hoping it kicks in now.
Me too, dude. Me too.
Well, I'm hoping to have it outside of dream state, like to actually be able to create it.
Well, and he says to sit like a noble being. You are, and create your reality. You are not to be in bed, and you're not to be laying down. You're supposed to sit up and create your reality. You're a creator, and to sit like one. If you're laying in bed, you're gonna fall asleep, and you're not gonna get it done. What were you gonna say, Meg?
I was going to say, are we going to create like 3 days that we can go and actually do this?
Yes, please.
I would love to.
That would be awesome.
Somewhere, huh? I mean, I have like a lake house or something. I can just imagine if it's a small group like this, like literally we could try to or even just 2 days or something that we could just, already I'm feeling like I know what's going to happen. I'm going to read this. I'm going to be like, I love it. And then I'm like, not going to do it later.
Yeah. Sarah, don't I say that? Well, I said it to, actually I said it to, Sarah and then Joanna, and Joanna and I've done the workshop on top of all of this, and I was all in it. I got myself blindfolds and I was going outside in my Adirondack chairs and everything, and I still do it. But I'm like you, Meg, like I need to be held closer into that. Yeah. And I believe in it 100%. His logic is crazy.
Well, and maybe we can keep an eye out for when they release more dates, because I would really love to do
I'm going. Like it's already an intention that I've set. It'll happen. I just don't know yet when.
Yeah,
but
I thought you were going, Angelique.
It was going to be a one-day workshop, and it didn't work out.
Okay.
So, we have a few more minutes, so why don't we continue? There's a few more so we can get past the introduction, or not even probably long, but we'll get started. So I'm going to mute you all again. That seems to be helping, and I'm trying to stay on top of it. Okay. So what's inside this book? Let's see. I'm good. You can hear me, right? Yeah. Okay. In chapter 1, I tell 3 stories that will give you a basic understanding of what it means to become supernatural. In the first story, you'll meet a woman named Anna who developed several serious health conditions because of a trauma that kept her anchored to the past. The emotions of stress triggered her genes, and the corresponding hormones created some very challenging health conditions for her. It is a very tough tale. I intentionally chose this story and included all of its details because I wanted to demonstrate to you that no matter how bad things can get, you have the power to change them, just as this amazing woman did. She applied many of the meditations in this book to modify her personality and heal herself. To me, she is the living example of truth, but she's not the only one who has kept overcoming herself on a daily basis until she becomes someone else. She joins a whole student body of participants who have become the same, and if they can do it, so can you.
I also share 2 of my own personal stories here, experiences that have changed me at a very deep level. This book is as much about the mystical as it is about healing and creating new opportunities in our lives. I share these stories because I want to prime you for what is possible when we have this realm of space-time, the Newtonian world we learned about in high school science class, and activate our pineal gland so that we can move into the realm of time-space, the quantum world. Many of our students have had similar mystical and interdimensional experiences which seemed as real as the material reality, because the second half of the book delves into the physics, neuroscience, neuroendocrinology, and even genetics of how this happens. I hope these stories will pique your curiosity, acting as teasers to open your mind in what's possible. There's a future for you, a you who already exists in the eternal present moment, who is actually calling himself or herself to the more familiar you who is reading this book. And that future you is more loving, more involved, more conscious, more present, more kind, more exuberant, more mindful, more willful, more connected, more supernatural, and more whole. This is who's waiting for you to change your energy to match his or her energy on a daily basis so you can find that future you who actually exists in the eternal now.
Chapter 2 covers one of my favorite topics. I wrote it so you could fully comprehend what it means to be in the present moment. Since all potentials in the fifth dimension, known as the quantum or the unified field, exist in the eternal present moment, the only way you can create a new life, heal your body, or change your predictable future is to get beyond yourself. This elegant moment, which we have witnessed in thousands of brain scans, arrives when a person finally surrenders to the memory of themselves for something greater. So many people spend the majority of their lives unconsciously choosing to live by the same routines on a regular basis, or they automatically romance their past, feeling the same way every day. As a result, they program their brain and body to be in a predictable future or familiar past, never living in the present moment. It takes practice to get there, but it's always worth the effort. Finally, finding the sweet spot of the generous present moment is going to require you to exercise a will that is greater than any of your automatic programs, but I'll encourage you every step of the way. The chapter starts off with a basic review of some scientific principles so we can establish a common terminology to develop models of understanding throughout the book. I'm going to make it pretty simple, talking about brain function, that is the mind, nerve cells, and networks, different parts of the nervous system, chemicals, emotions, and stress, brain waves, attention and energy, and a few other subjects is necessary to get you where you want to go. I have to establish the language to explain why we are doing what we are doing before I teach you how to do it in the meditations that appear throughout the book. If you want more explicit, in-depth information, I invite you to read any of my previous books, including Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself and You Are the Placebo.
Chapter 3 is your introduction to the quantum world, the fifth dimension. I want you to understand that there is an invisible field of energy and information that exists beyond the three-dimensional realm of space and time, and that we have access to it. In fact, once you are in the present moment and you've entered this realm, which exists beyond your senses, you are now ready to create your intended reality. When you take all your attention off your body, the people in your life, the objects you own, the places you go, and even time itself, you will literally forget about your identity that has been formed by living as a body in this space and time. It is this moment that you, as pure consciousness, enter the realm called the quantum field, which exists beyond the space and time. You can't enter this immaterial place with your problems, your name, your schedules and routines, your pain, or your emotions. You can't enter as somebody. You must enter as nobody. In fact, once you know how to move your awareness from the known, the material physical world, to the unknown, the immaterial world of possibility, and you become comfortable there, you can change your energy to match the frequency of any potential in the quantum field that already exists there. Spoiler alert, actually all potential futures exist there, so you can create whatever you want. When a vibrational match occurs between your energy and the energy of that potential you select in the unified field, you will draw that experience to you. I'll show you how it all works.
Chapter 3 ends with a brief description of a meditation I have developed to help give you an actual experience of the quantum. Each of the teaching chapters from this point on will also end with a brief description of a different meditation. If you want to follow along as I guide you, you can purchase a CD, download an audio recording of any of these meditations from my website. Excuse me. Of course, you can also opt to try any of the meditations in this book on your own without listening to a recording. For this purpose, I have made free, detailed descriptions available, giving the steps of each of these meditations, on my website at drjoedispenza.com. If you are meditating on your own, I recommend you listen to music while you do so. The best type of music is without words, and I prefer slow and trancing. It's best to use music that stops you from thinking and that doesn't evoke past memories. You'll find a suggested music list on my website mentioned earlier. In Chapter 4, I introduce you to one of the most popular meditations in our community. It's called the Blessing of the Energy Centers. Each center is under the control of the autonomic nervous system. I will give you the science of how you can program these centers for health and the greatest good during a meditation. If you have been doing my introductory level meditations, where you have been placing your attention on different parts of your body and the space around your body, I want you to know that all of your training was for this meditation. Practicing this has helped you sharpen your skills to focus your attention and change your brain waves so you can enter the operating system of the autonomic nervous system. Once you are there, you can program the operating system with the right orders to heal you, balance your health, and improve your energy and your life.
In Chapter 5, I introduce you to a breath that we use at the start of many of our meditations. This breath enables you to change your energy, run an electrical current through your body, and create a more powerful electromagnetic field around you. As I will explain, most people's energy is stored in the body because they have conditioned their body to become the mind from years of thinking, acting, and feeling the same way. It is this process related to living in survival mode that causes most of the creative energy to be rooted in the body. Therefore, we must have a way to pull that energy out of the body and deliver it back to the brain, where it will be available for a higher purpose than mere survival. I'll give you the physiology of the breath so you can put more intention behind it when you begin to free yourself from the past. Once you start to liberate all the energy back into the brain, then you will learn how to recondition your body to a new mind. I'm going to show you how to teach your body emotionally how to live in the future present reality instead of the past present reality where we spend most of our time. Science tells us that the environment signals the gene. Since emotions are the chemical end products of experiences in our environment, when you embrace elevated emotions in your meditations, you will not only raise your body's energy, but you will also start to signal new genes in new ways ahead of the environment.
Okay, I just want to say something really quick. We are at time. We're a little over, actually. Do you want to have Meg just wrap this up? Is everybody okay? Or if you need to hop off, we can hop off. What would you guys like to do?
Well, are we finishing this chapter or no? Because there's still.
I cannot. So
Okay.
let's finish the page and then
Okay, I'll finish the page real quick.
Okay, sounds great.
There's nothing like a good story or two. In Chapter 6, I give you a few examples of students who applied themselves to the meditations in the previous chapters. These case histories should serve as teaching tools to help you fully understand the material I have presented so far. Most of the people you will read about are no different from you. They're common people who have done the uncommon. Another reason I share these stories is so you can personally relate to these people. Once you have the thought, if they can do it, so can I, you will naturally believe in yourself more. I always tell our community, when you chose to prove to yourself how powerful you really are, you have no idea who you will be helping in the future. These people are proof that it's possible for you. In Chapter 7, I introduce what it means to create heart coherence. Like brain coherence, the heart functions in the same organized way when we are truly present, when we can sustain elevated emotional states, and when we feel safe enough to fully open up to possibility. The brain thinks, but the heart knows. This is the center of oneness. wholeness, and unity consciousness. It is where opposites meet, representing the union of polarities. Think of this center as your connection to the unified field. When it is activated, you go from selfish states to selfless states. When you can maintain internal states independent of conditions in your external environment, you are mastering your environment. It takes practice to get good at keeping your heart open, and if you do, it will keep beating longer.
Okay, I'm gonna unmute you all. Okay. Awesome. Well, it's exciting to me.
Oh, it's so, yeah. This is really awesome.
I mean, it seriously gets me all just zhuzhed. I love it. But what do you guys think?
Right?
Yeah.
Angelique, I have Joe Dispenza's CDs. I purchased them a couple of years ago on through Hay House, and I did them for a while, like, at night when I was in bed, but I never really read why or understood. So I'll be glad to go back to them now with more intention and purpose.
I agree. Honestly, it's the understanding that helps the meditation, because how many of us have tried to meditate and then sit there and go, what am I doing?
Right.
And why? And how is this even working? I think when you understand how it works, then you can break the neural networks that you currently have, rewire them, and fire something else. It's magical. So, and we've all experienced it. It's just a matter of frequency, I think, too.
Yeah. And the whole idea where he was talking, and once again, I've heard this, but I didn't really hear it, about moving some of those emotions, freeing those up from the body and moving it to the brain. That's life-changing,
He will say repeatedly that the emotions, your body has become the brain, and it's really retraining to take your body back over, because your body has conditioned itself to feel a certain way. So like if you hear a song, smell a scent, have a memory, all of a sudden your body reacts.
It triggers, yes.
Yeah, and it's because it's conditioned to feel that way, and you're trying to uncondition it, and that's where the work is. That's the sweet spot, and becoming something else. That's why I keep doing it, because I really want to master that. But anyway, thank you guys so much for joining.
Thank you.
And expanding the book club. It's been so fun, and I'm so grateful to Sarah and Joanna, because they've hung in there with me wanting to do these books, and now I'm just super excited to see it grow, and it's just super fun. So I hope you guys enjoy it, and we'll be back here next week. I will repost another link. It'll happen exactly the same way. If you have suggestions for me, I'm always open, but I thought it went pretty well.
Is the link, it'll come through on Facebook?
Yes, I have us in that small group, so we can all just either communicate in there. If you guys see something if you guys want to post in there, if you want to post quotes or information or gatherings or whatever, feel free to also do that. But I will always have that link ready. Now with Sarah and Joanna, they will contest that I will sometimes post that link like 5 minutes before we're supposed to go. But because we have so many people in here, I'm going to try to be a lot better about getting that thing up. So you guys freak out and wonder where I'm at. But
so Angelique, I have just a technical question. So I should pretty much forget that I actually have the Zoom app and just connect with you through that link.
Correct.
Because that takes me where I need to be.
Yes.
All right.
Kate, we went through this whole situation where I entered the ID and the password. That's fine if that's how we have to do it with you. But technically, you can also should be able to click on a link, and then it'll say, either I'll be here, you'll see me, or it'll say she'll start it soon. Somebody's going to start that meeting soon. And we'll wait until I pop on.
Okay.
But, if not, and we have to go through that ID part, that's okay too. I just wanted to tell you there's a link that should click you right into this room we're in right now.
All right, thanks.
I had to do all that too.
What's that?
I had to do all the passcode stuff too.
Oh, okay.
We'll see.
So you could not, when it said join, that very first link in that thing I sent you, you couldn't just click that and it pop up?
No, it wanted to download something, and then it wanted to.
Yeah, you're going to want to download something, but it's free. I pay for it on my end. It's just a way to access it through that link easier, so you can bypass all the IDs and the passwords.
Okay.
But if that doesn't work for you, you can continue to do it the way you want to do it.
Yeah.
Awesome. You guys have a great week. I'll see you next
Happy
week.
Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, everybody. All right.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.